All right, guys, we're going to start key concept 2.1, which is the development and codification of religious and cultural traditions. Here's your outline. If you want to pause, take a look at it, see what we're going to go over here. Our main idea today is as states and empires increase in size and contacts between regions are multiplying, religious and cultural systems are going to be transformed. They're going to change. So let's talk about religions and belief systems. How do they actually unify people? Well, they create a bond between people. There's a commonality there. If somebody practices the same religion as you, then you assume that they think like you do in certain ways. You have the same beliefs. There's somebody that you can relate to. It also provides ethical codes to live by. Every religion has a certain set of moral and ethical values that all people within that religion hold dear and sacred, and they're going to practice those same things. It gives people a common factor. It also influences and reinforces social stratification. Leaders who adopted religions were able to use certain codes of that religion to advance their personal agendas, such as justifying wars. Religion had a role in determining status in society. For example, a pagan in a Christian civilization would be of lower status. And economically, a person who adopted the civilization's main religion had economic benefits, such as not having to pay religious taxes. People who did not convert to the civilization's religion were discriminated against because of taxes. If you establish places in worship in undeveloped territory, that's going to increase your chance of colonization. A strong religion resulted in the construction of places of worship, which had architectural value. And adopting the same religion is going to unite cultures. Occupationally, people who want to work for these places of worship, you had more of a chance of getting a better job and raising your social class if you were within the religion. So, like I said a minute ago, religious and political authority are going to merge together as rulers use religion to justify their own rule. For example, they might say that God put me here. God ordained my rule. Look at all the amazing things I did in war. I could not have done that if it wasn't for God wanting me to do this. And who's going to argue with that? This also ensures the continuation of their rule. What they do is they would use the religious structures to reinforce their military and legal structures. And we see this definitely in later time periods as the political and religious definitely merge as far like the Catholic Church and the European powers. We see this in later eras. Conflict can be easily generated this way because beliefs and practices vary greatly within societies. So if you force people to convert to a certain religion, if you mandate a certain religion as the official religion of the empire, then you are going to cut down on a lot of these moral and ethical conflicts. And this is just a nice little chart for you to see how codifications and further developments of existing religious traditions provided a bond among people and an ethical code to live by. So this is a good chart for you to just take a look at. So let's talk about Judaism. The monotheistic Hebrew faith started in Southwest Asia, and it was scattered, and this was called the Jewish diaspora, to the eastern Mediterranean region and into Central Asia by the Assyrians, and then by the Romans later. Jewish merchants carried the faith into small pockets of communities in major trade cities in Europe and in South and East Asia. Judaism is a secular religion that focuses on worldly benefits like prosperity, material goods, and successes. People who practice Judaism believe that through a covenant with God, and if you abide by the law, then you're promised deliverance from this world. Meaning that, and a covenant with God is simply a promise, like you devote your life to God, and He gives you something in return. And there are two different types of Jews. The original Jews believe in the promise of deliverance from God, known as a covenant. And then there are Jesus' followers who believe that God's grace is not guaranteed and is based on God's will. The fact that it's monotheistic, meaning that they believe there's only one God, was further enforced with the codification, meaning the writing down of the Hebrew scriptures, which we know today as the Old Testament. These scriptures reflected Mesopotamian cultural and legal traditions. And conquests, again, of the Assyrians and the Romans contributed to the growth of what we would consider a diasporic community, or another word for that would be almost like a refugee community around the Mediterranean and the Middle East. So let's talk a little bit about Hinduism. Hinduism is something that we're going to talk about much more as we get into the Mauryan and Gupta empires, because that's a very good example of how the religious mixed with the political. Hinduists believed in a caste system, a strict caste system that stated that people's place in society is predetermined and unmovable. Brahmins are the priests of the highest caste, and they still to this day guard the most respect in Hindu society. They had very many enforced traditions. Some examples would be the sanctity of cows. Also, this practice of sati, which is burning widows on a husband's funeral pyre. Yikes. Core beliefs of Hinduism are outlined in what we would consider the Sanskrit scriptures. An example of that is the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas. And these form the basis of Vedic religions that later became Hinduism. And Hinduism contributed to the development of social and political roles of the caste system, like we just discussed. Obviously, if you are a Brahmin, if you're in the top class, then you have a lot more economic opportunity and political opportunity to move up. If you are in the lower caste, if you are in what they would consider an untouchable, then you have absolutely no chance of going anywhere in life, and you're basically the scum of the society. These castes are unmovable. You cannot move caste. It's just whatever you're born into. And Hinduism also contributed to the importance of multiple manifestations of Brahma to promote the teachings of reincarnation. And we're going to talk about what that means a little bit more. And that's it for video 1. Thanks, guys.